Welcome to Date Like a French Woman, the podcast where we approach dating as a sacred healing journey rather than a quest. Welcome to a new episode of Date Like a French Woman, the podcast to help you approach dating like a healing journey rather than a quest. And today, I have a guest who is going to bring you back in time. She has a very special talent in helping people go back and find the resolution to problems in this life, in other lives. It's very interesting. And I personally did one of her, I was the client of hers, was her client for her regression. And I can tell you that it works. Her name is Shay Sisler, and she specializes in soul regression, helping others release trapped emotion that can cause illness in the body, but way more than that. And I'll have her tell her story herself. Good morning, Shay. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I love this.
I love it too because I know how it helps me, and I know in general how it helps people.
Right.
Before we go into the subject, could you please bring us with you in your story and how you ended up doing what you're doing today?
Yeah, I would love to tell it. I got started because my husband got lung cancer, and I know that we can heal our bodies. So I started looking for different ways that we could heal our bodies. And I came across herbs and oils and all the different kind of things. And well, in 2010, let me start there, my husband had a stroke. So we lost our house and everything. I moved in with my sister. And I had told my sister at that time, gosh, if I had the perfect job, I'd be able to sit down and just talk with people and connect soul to soul. So when I'm looking for all of these different ways to heal ourselves, I came across the QHHT, which is Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique by Dolores Cannon, which is phenomenal. When I checked into it, I thought, oh my gosh, there is my perfect job. And I had been 26 years in the corporate world, but I thought this is really what I want to do. And so I got into it trying to help my husband get better and heal. Unfortunately, he wasn't on the same journey, and he just recently passed. It's been 4 years, but it's so amazing, the journey along the way and the things that I've learned and just the people that I've met. It's just so phenomenal. And the healings that I've seen actually happen with people along the way. And it's not me. It's, I'm guided through God. I mean, God, the source comes through me to help heal people.
You're a facilitator, the same way that when I do an energy session, I'm like
a conduit. Yeah.
But you still, you still have a talent to be a facilitator.
Yes, because if your body is not in tune, and if your lifestyle is not in tune, and if you're not in tune, you're not able to do this kind of work.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of preparation in order to be in that place, where you can be that conduit to help heal people.
So typically people who come to see you, do they first of all believe in past life, or are they in such a painful place that they are willing to try everything?
Well, it's really funny. Most people that come to me are just awakening, because right now there's a huge awakening going on, and people are coming into the gifts that they have. And most people find all of a sudden they're able to see spirits, or they're connecting, in their dreams, and they're like, they want to have answers. Or, I had one lady call me, and her son was seeing spirits, and she didn't know, is he schizophrenic? Is he going crazy? What's going on? So during this awakening, so many people are waking up and they don't know what's happening, but they have illness in their body too. And they're like, I want to heal myself. I don't know how. So they come to me. And then the biggest thing is, when people do come to me, they don't have anybody that they can talk to about their awakening.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it feels so good to just be able to share with somebody what I'm experiencing, what I'm going through, and what's happening to me, because it is kind of woo-woo to some people out there. And the healings are amazing when they come in and we connect to the higher self. And the higher self knows everything about them. So the higher self When I connect to the higher self, I ask for the healing anyway. I ask the higher self to take us to the most appropriate time and place. And typically that is a past life. Now, I have done clients, because I grew up Mormon in Utah. Mormons don't believe in past lives. I mean, I broke away from that when I was a teenager. So my mind has been very expanded since then. But I have done people who are Mormon and don't believe in past life. But I always tell them, just think about it as this is a message from your ancestors. But when they get in there and they start feeling the emotion,
Yes.
it's really hard to deny that they were not living that life. But it's been very eye-opening for them too. And typically most people will go to a past life, but sometimes people have had such dramatic or traumatic things happen in this life that the higher self will not allow them to go to the past life before we resolve things in this life. Like I had one girl who came to me, really wanted a past life. She was so looking for it, but when we regressed her, she actually went to the time when she was 10 years old. Her brother had drowned, he was 6, and she was in the cop car, and so she had to go through that experience. But then what we had to do, because she still had the emotion lodged in her body from that event. And then this is the amazing thing too. We were able to connect with her brother, his higher self, and we brought him in and we asked him, so why did you leave us at this age and this time? And he said, because God called me. And so that was so comforting for her to get that message, because she was holding guilt in her body,
Yes.
thinking that he drowned because of her and she wasn't watching him.
Yeah.
So it was such a great release for her to be able to understand that it wasn't her fault. And that's what he said to her. It wasn't your fault.
And so changing a whole life when something like this happens.
Yeah. And she thought she had, resolved all of that and was done with it. But the higher self knows all. Yeah. So the higher self took us to that event. We were able to view it. And then we were able to go in and release the emotion that is trapped in her body. So now she can move forward.
And for people who are not familiar with like this terminology, the higher self, could you describe it a little bit so that they can understand what you are referring to?
When I'm talking about the higher self?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, the higher self is us, but it's a more evolved part of us that's connected to the oneness, to the universe, to everything that there is, to God, to source, whatever it is that you want to call it. But it's the higher self is what I refer to, because that higher part of you knows what you need in life to progress and to move forward. So it helps guide us. And how many people, and I know a lot of people have had this happen, like you'll have a decision like, gosh, should I date this person or not date this person? And in your gut, you feel, I should not date this person. That's your higher self telling you not to do it. But we have free will. So we have the choice to make decisions, and we override our higher self that's trying to guide us in the best possible way. So we choose to date the guy, even though our higher self was directing us in our soul and our heart not to do it. We chose to, and then of course bad things happen, and then we wonder why all this bad stuff is happening in our life, because we're not listening to that part of us that is our higher self that's trying to guide us.
And I specifically in my life remember an exact moment where I felt what you're describing in my stomach, which was telling me, run the other direction. And I was ready to do that. I even voiced it to the guy, like, you're not ready. You still have stuff with your past relationship. And because he said something that touched one of my core wounding from my childhood, I got hooked.
Yeah.
Because he was ready to just let it go and said, let's just stay friends. At that time, now I know because of all the work I've done on myself. At the time, I wasn't really aware of it. When he said that specific sentence, the way that I interpreted it in myself, because I didn't see my own value, was, you're not enough for me to really even battle that, to really even try. Okay, let's just be friends. And so in me, I felt the desire the it's more than a desire, it's an impulse, it's something that I could not control because it was unconscious, to prove him that my
Right.
value was so
That's
high
our
and
ego
my
mind coming
instinct.
in.
Yes. And
Yes.
so, but people, I was able to feel it because I'm connected to my body. Some people are not even connected to what they feel in their body, and that's where they need to start
Yes.
developing that connection, because we're always guided,
Yeah.
and
Always guided.
we're part of that infinite intelligence, infinite
Yeah.
wisdom, and it's here for us 24/7.
Yeah. And can I tell you a quick story that
Yes, of
I
course.
had a session last week on a woman who wasn't following the guidance of her body, right? So her dog had been attacked by two pit bulls. So she wanted to know what was happening and why that had to happen. Well, they were getting ready, her and her husband were getting ready to go to the lake that morning. And she had a really bad feeling in the pit of her stomach. And she felt like she shouldn't go, but she didn't know, but she wasn't listening to her body. So they were getting ready to go to the lake. And all of a sudden, her dog got out and got attacked by two pit bulls. So of course that canceled their trip.
Yes.
So when we got to the higher self, we asked the higher self why this event had to happen. And the higher self told her there were evil forces at work and there was a bad accident planned. And they were trying to give her messages through her stomach to not go, because if they would have gone, this bad accident, her husband could have been killed. But her dog was a higher developed being and has been with her for many lifetimes. The night before, he made the decision to jump in and stop her if she didn't listen to her gut. So the higher self, when we connected there, they said, we're going to intensify that so that there's no way she can deny us going forward. She will know in her gut and she will listen to it, that she'll know not to do that. But I thought it was so amazing how
And
our
that's
higher
not the
self
first
communicates.
time. I've heard stories about our pets
Yeah,
coming, actually incarnating in that pet. The
yeah,
soul that incarnated in there was to serve us. It's so
hmm
beautiful.
yeah, yeah. And that happened with her, and it was such a beautiful session. I'm going to be sharing that on my YouTube channel here in the next few weeks. I'm going to be interviewing her and share it. But she had an amazing session, so it was
Yeah.
beautiful. They're all beautiful. Like yours was beautiful too.
Oh, mine
Love
was
this.
very powerful. Mine brought me a deep understanding about stuff in my life today, in several areas of my life, in my finances, in my life as a mother, in my life as a lover. And it's really helping me. I'm going to share here something very personal with the audience, is that they know already I've talked about the fact that I got contaminated with hepatitis B through a love relationship, where I already had ended the love relationship because with the amount of work that I had done, I knew after like probably 2 months that that's not something I wanted. That's not something where I was honored. But because again, there was a residual lack of valuing, where instead of fully protecting myself physically, I wanted to be, in quote unquote, the perfect lover. So I wanted everything to flow, and I didn't protect myself. And I got contaminated because I still needed to prove my value to a person that I didn't even care about, really.
Mm-hmm.
I I had to deal with the disease in my body. I had to deal with all the emotional aspect of it. And I thought I was done resolving it. And recently, like in the past week or so, I was tapping, because I constantly work on tapping. Tapping is amazing also to help bring stuff to the surface. And I realized that I still had I did not forgive myself for going there, for getting close to that person, where at the beginning, like you said, I had that feeling in my stomach that it's not for you, don't go there. And I wasn't really interested, but something pushed me And because that person was in a state of somehow a little bit depressed at the time, and I had such the savior archetype all my life, where I'm really paying attention to that now. That's why I'm such a good coach, but that's why it's messing up on my relationships. So I'm working on that and always getting better. I got close to that person and I did not forgive myself because I initiated the contact. I sat next to him in that meeting, which led to us having an intimate relationship and led to me being sick. I remember in my regression with you, that person, the soul of that person was another person in my past life,
Mm-hmm.
and it killed me. And I could see the anger in his eyes that I saw in that past life was the same that I could see in his eyes now.
Yeah.
And that's funny how the eyes are the window to the soul. And
Absolutely.
my last words before I died were, I'll find you, because I had a desire for revenge. When I realized that, it helped me forgive myself because it's almost like a contract I made with him in a past life that I will find him, that I will get my revenge. It's something I vowed almost to myself. So that's why here now in this life, I felt compelled to get close to him because I had an unresolved issue. And
Mm-hmm.
now my work is to finish resolving that in this life. And because of the regression, I was able to be aware of stuff that I was not aware consciously. So
Yeah.
that's the
Mhm.
amplitude of the impact that a regression can have on you, amongst other things that I saw in the regression with you, because I saw several past lives. And I would love to ask you two questions. I'm going to ask the first one is, how did you witness people resolving their relationships? Well, we're talking about love here, but there are many relationships through a regression where they were able to let go of some patterns in this life because of a regression.
Well, a perfect example is a session I did with my sister today, and I wanted to share it, but we were unable to do that. But
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is a perfect example of patterns because my sister is 52, never dated, never, she's suicidal. She's constantly checking herself into the psych ward, and she's got anxiety, and she has a lot of issues. Well, growing up Mormon, we've tried 3 times to have a session with her. And Sunday, I finally was able to get her into that place. Excuse me. I was finally able to get her into that place where we had a session. And what happened is I took her back to a past life where she had unresolved issues with my father. So coming into this life now, she could see what those unresolved issues were and why she's experiencing the anxiety and the depression and having all these suicidal thoughts, because she just wanted acceptance. So her and my father had to work out this in this life because she lived almost the exact same life that we did a past life when, other than she was married in that previous life in the past, and she's not in this life. But we also found out reasons why she did not marry in this life. And it was because of fear of rejection. But she had no idea why she didn't, but it's fear. Fear was holding her back.
Yes.
She didn't want to be rejected, so it was easier for her just to not go there. But she wanted acceptance, and it was through my dad. My dad, she still lives with my dad. She's in her 50s, but she finally had the realization that that's her purpose, was to come here and resolve this pattern, because the last life that she lived in, at the end of the life, the beginning of the life, it was really amazing. She was married, happy with her husband and everything. She's very content. But then as her life progressed in the past life, she pushed everybody away and she rejected everybody. And so everybody kind of left her. She never felt good enough. She never felt, she always felt that rejection.
Yes.
So because of that in the past life, she had to come here and almost do that life over to change those patterns. But she's 52, and just now realizing about those patterns. And so now she can go forward and change, because the regression, I would love to have shown the video, because it
We're
was
gonna have
just
to do that. We
yeah,
had
another
technical
time.
issues today, but we're gonna have to do that and really share the extract of this video.
Yeah, because just seeing her reaction at the end, and how she just sat there, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. She just kept saying that at the end, because it was such an aha moment, and she's just crying, and because now she understands the pattern and what she has to do to change. So, and my father is amazing too. My father is LDS Mormon, and he is now asking me to do a session for him. But he asked before this, but he's still skeptical, and he doesn't, but he's willing to try, and I have to commend him for that. But I just find it really amazing that just 2 months ago, he finally got to the place in his life where he's not pushing my sister, and he's accepting her for who she is and how she is. And then it's relieving her of all of that she's been dealing with in her life. And their relationship has totally changed just in the last 2 months.
And I'm sure when I was talking about the lack of forgiveness, the lack of self-forgiveness, because of the way that society is telling us that we need to get married, we need to do this, and we need to have a job, and with all those models that are imposed on us, we find thousands of ways to make ourselves wrong, to tell ourselves that something is wrong with us, we're not enough. And just knowing that something can stem from way back in time.
Yeah, and you wouldn't even think.
Would help us be so much more compassionate and understanding with ourselves.
Yeah.
It has so many ramifications.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know, time scientifically doesn't even exist. So to me, the way I see it is like, a bread that's sliced, and you can go from one slice to another slice and access them. That's how I see regressions and all those lives.
Yeah.
In my session with you, I was able to go to 3 past lives, and for different purposes, resolutions, but also I, as a healer, as a energy worker, I work on people. I saw a past life where I was a healer too. And when I do an energy session, I always ask to have the abilities from my past lives to help me in the moment. But when I saw that life, it even, because I felt it in my body, and I instinctively, in that past life, I was a man, and I knew where to put my hands. I never learned it, but I just knew. I'm able to even intensify my energy sessions because I can tap in that life specifically to guide me.
Yeah, and we all have that access to do. Tap into those lives that help guide us. So that's amazing that you're able to do that.
Because it's not only about resolution, it's also about understanding the talents you have in this life. I did theater when I was in high school. I like being on stage. I like talking. And I saw a past life where I was a performer. So I understood why I had this love of the stage. It can help us become really the ultimate version of ourselves that we could be in this life.
Absolutely. Yeah. Can I share another really quick story of my sister?
Go ahead.
Because I have another sister who's a couple years younger than me that's on drugs. She's addicted to meth. Well, my sister that we did the session on despised my sister up to this point. And she doesn't have any tolerance for her. She's very unforgiving. She has been unforgiving in the past. I've been working with her lately, and I was crying with her on the weekend and just telling her how much I love this sister. And I was telling her that nobody sees her beauty. They just see this drug addict, and it really frustrated me. Well, when I did the regression on my sister on Sunday, I took her to the spirit world, which is amazing, because then I took her to the room where she's creating her life in this world. And I asked her, who are you picking to come into this world with you and learn these lessons? And she picked my sister. Because of her heart and how loving she is. And so she could see her true soul essence.
Yes.
So when she came out of her session, she realized what a beautiful soul she is. She hopefully doesn't see her as a drug addict anymore, but just from the debrief that I did, she said, oh my God, I could see how beautiful her soul is.
Yeah.
And so I know that she'll change. So, and I know, I could go on and on, but.
I know, because there are so many layers.
Yeah.
I always say that the people who, excuse me for my French, kick our butt the most in this life are actually spiritualized most of the time, because they came to do that for us to grow.
Yeah.
And to be able to go back and see that and feel it, because when you are in a regression, you are in that life. You feel what you felt, you even down to the temperature of the room where you were standing, the smell, anything, you are really there. So to be able to feel that with our senses makes it so real that you cannot forget, you cannot go back.
Yeah, it is so real, and it's just so amazing. And if you ever want me to come back, I tell you so many stories that are just so amazing.
I think we should have like a regular.
Yeah, I would love it.
Yeah,
there's so many messages that are really universal.
Yes, because it's so beautiful. One question I always ask my guests is about self-love. Mm-hmm. And many people, most women I come across and I coach and I teach, they don't even know where to start because they don't even know what it means to them. So I always like to ask each of my guests to give their own version of what it means to them, so it can help people to get their own definition. So for you, what does self-love mean?
You know what, this is something I think all women struggle with, but I tell you what, it really came and hit me hard recently, because in March my husband was starting to get very ill, and I don't know what happened, but it's like all of a sudden I couldn't talk to him, and then I'm thinking, who am I, why am I here? And I just thought I need to find myself, I need to love myself, because I wasn't his wife. I mean, I was his wife, but I wasn't, and he's sick and he doesn't want help, and I'm like, oh my God. So I got up in the morning, I started going to the park, and I just started walking in the park, and I would just meditate, and I would just think about who I am. And then I fell in love with myself. I did. And then I realized while I was doing that I needed to detach from my husband. And it was very hard to do that, because the energy in my home was so dense and so heavy, and I was losing sight of who I was. When you're a caregiver, especially, and being a woman, you lose sight of your own life.
Yes.
And what your needs are. And I'll tell you what, I just want to say thank you, my love. Yeah. Because he taught me so much.
Yes.
And he taught me how to love myself.
Yeah.
Hard lesson.
He's still teaching you now. He's still with you and continues to.
Yeah, he is. And those are some amazing stories if you ever want to hear and talk about those. Those have been amazing too, that he is still here. But I have learned to really love myself through his exit, through his leaving this world. And now I do. I mean, it's been so amazing that I find myself in all of this heaviness. So it's been great.
Beautiful. What self-love practices do you have in your life on a regular basis? What is one thing?
Well, I journal. I've started journaling because I've been instructed through many sessions that I need to start writing my stuff down, my stories, and I have stories to tell.
Yes.
And then, of course, eating better. There's a session I did last week that I would love to share with you sometime. It's just a message out to the universe, to all the soul, the light workers that are out there, to start eating better. Because if we don't all change our diets and eat better, we're not going to be able to make it through the transition that's coming and help those that we needed. And someday I'd love to share that message, because it is beautiful. Yes. And, some people do need to eat meat. I've been instructed not to eat meat because I'll be able to make that connection better. I enjoy meat, so it's a challenge for me.
And for me, it's the opposite, because I try to be vegan. I try to be a vegetarian because I don't necessarily love meat at all. and that breaks my heart to eat meat. But my body needs meat at least
Yeah.
once in a while. So I had to come to terms with that. But
Yeah. And
what I
everybody's
felt,
different.
because we get guidance individually, what I felt
Yeah.
recently is to stop coffee. So I stopped coffee,
Yeah.
and my head is so much clearer. Of course, I meditate regularly, so it helps
Hmm.
everything. But we get the guidance too. The
Yeah.
fact that we don't always understand or do what we're supposed to do is another problem, but we do get the guidance.
Yeah. We do. And
Yeah.
I think it's important to surround yourself with people who vibrate the same as you, who are very positive and very happy. So I've really surrounded myself with amazing people.
Yeah.
And it's like my whole life has changed from that. And we need to do things that make us happy and joyful. So
So
whatever you do
yeah.
that makes you happy, that's
Yes.
what we need to do. So I try to do that, and I'm always looking at that. What's going to make me happy today? Like, I was invited to a party last night where everybody was going to be drinking. It's not me. So
Yeah.
I'm like, why even go there? Because I'm not happy there. You know what I mean? So I
Yes.
didn't go,
So it's learning to
because,
say no too, because when you
yeah,
say no, you say yes to yourself. Yes.
yes. And that is a really good point, because I have had to learn to say no recently. And I've been told that there are going to be many people come into my life. And I've had to stand my ground and say what I want, instead
Yes.
of just being the nice person that I try to be all the time. Sometimes when we're that nice person, we let people, I don't want to say take advantage of us, because I don't feel like I let people take advantage of them, but I'm like, okay, they're in a bad way, they need this, so
Yeah.
I'm going to let them do that, and then I'm the one that suffers for it.
Yeah.
So I've had to learn to take my power back. And so if it's not something that works for me in my life, then I have to say no. So I've had to learn to say no, and that is a form of self-love. So
A lot of us, I mean,
yeah,
most of us have to learn to say no with grace and feel good about it, which
yeah,
at the
absolutely.
beginning, it's not that easy. You don't feel good about it. And sometimes even I still feel guilt,
Yeah,
but I'm way better than I used to be. And I take care of myself.
yeah,
If
good.
people want to connect with you to get information about your session, what you're doing, or just to ask questions, where should they go?
You can go to my website, which is shaysisler.com, and Shay is Shay. Sisler is S as in Sam, S as in Sam, LER.
And I'll put that in the description also.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can go there. You can kind of read. I have some different videos on different sessions, some interviews that I've done. And then you can just read about it. And then there's a contact page. You can send me a contact or call me, text me, whichever way works for people. But yeah, beautiful work. Thank
Beautiful.
you.
And no pressure. You can go ask questions and feel
Absolutely. Yeah.
comfortable because Shay is
Yeah.
very sweet and she's not pushy. She's not somebody who's going to try to push something on you at all.
Yeah. And typically when people email me, I typically will ask them to send me their phone number, because I really want to talk with them,
Yes.
because then I can really answer their questions and give
Yes.
them some feedback on what I would recommend. So, but yeah, I'm always open.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being with us today, Shay. I'm sure it will open the eyes of many people and you will have many questions to come because this is a subject that is vast and
Yes.
people are intrigued about it. Um, but there is so much to learn.
Yeah.
And for our audience, I will be here next week with another topic and really go and investigate all the mind the treasures of your past because it can help you live a better life now. With that said, I wish you a lot of love. Remember, you are loved always, al- always, and it's not only here um, with human beings, it's outside in the universe. There is that vibration of love. We are loved no matter what. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Shay.
Bye.
If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel. And for questions, information, or to book a free 30-minute introductory coaching session, please visit datelikeafrenchwoman.com.